Have you ever felt like your legs just don't listen to you anymore? You stand up and there's this strange moment, like the signal from your brain to your legs doesn't quite make it through. Maybe you hesitate a second longer before climbing the stairs. Maybe the floor feels farther away than it used to. And sometimes, without warning, you catch yourself reaching for furniture, walls, anything to steady yourself. Not because you're dizzy, but because your legs suddenly feel unsure. If that's ever happened to you, you're not alone. But here's the part no one tells you. This might not be age. It might be a missing vitamin. Now I know that might sound dramatic, but what if I told you there's one essential nutrient that your legs depend on every single day to function, to move, to keep you balanced and independent? And what if I told you that for millions of seniors, it's quietly slipping out of their lives? Not because they're doing anything wrong, but because the signs of deficiency are subtle at first. A little stiffness, a little fatigue, a little wobble. Then, almost overnight, it becomes a fall, a fracture, a sudden loss of freedom, and no one saw it coming. This isn't a scare tactic. It's a wake-up call. Because there's a gap right now in our healthcare, in our nutrition advice, in our awareness. And if you're over 60, you're standing right in it. You're in a stage of life where your body is doing its best to protect you, but it's also changing. Muscles aren't as quick to respond. Nerves need more support. Recovery takes longer. And something as simple as a missing vitamin can tip the scale from strength to struggle. Let me share a moment I'll never forget. I was speaking with a woman named Denise, 72 years old, vibrant, funny, full of life. She told me about the day she fell in the grocery store, not because she tripped, but because her legs just stopped responding. She described it like her muscles had gone silent. She didn't faint. She didn't lose consciousness. Her legs just gave up under her. One minute she was upright. The next, she was on the ground, humiliated, hurting, and terrified. And what shocked her the most? There was no warning, no sign, no pain, just failure. Doctors ran tests, x-rays, blood work. And you know what they found? A severe deficiency in one specific vitamin that affects nerve transmission and muscle coordination. One that supports balance, stability, and strength from the inside out. And the crazy part? Denise had no idea she was missing it. She ate well. She took a multivitamin. She exercised. But it wasn't enough. Because most multivitamins don't include therapeutic levels of this nutrient. And most doctors don't test for it until after something has gone wrong. That's what we're here to change. Because this story isn't just Denise's. It could be yours, or your partner's, or your parents'. This is about more than nutrition. It's about independence. It's about freedom. Because after 60, your legs aren't just how you get around. They're how you stay connected to the world, how you get to the kitchen, to the mailbox, to the backyard where your grandkids are playing. When your legs go, life starts shrinking. And when life starts shrinking, so does joy. And the most dangerous part, you may not even notice it's happening, not right away. You might just think you're tired, or you slept funny, or you need better shoes. And sure, all those things can help. But if you're missing this key vitamin, none of that matters, because your muscles will keep getting weaker, your nerves will keep misfiring, and your risk of falling, the #1 cause of injury-related death in seniors, will keep rising, unless you intervene. But here's the good news. You can. This isn't irreversible. It's not too late. Your body wants to heal. It wants to strengthen. And once you give it the raw materials it needs, real nutrients in the right amounts, you can change everything. You can rebuild the signals between your brain and your legs. You can restore stability. You can feel confident walking across the room again without fear, without hesitation, without that pit in your stomach, wondering, will my legs catch me this time? You deserve to know what's going on inside your body. You deserve to understand what's missing. Because this vitamin isn't rare, it isn't expensive, but it is essential. And missing it isn't just a nutrition problem. It's a life-altering risk. So let's dig deeper. Let's uncover what this nutrient does, how it works, why it vanishes as we age, and what you can do starting today to make sure your legs don't fail you tomorrow. Because this isn't just about supplements. This is about your future, your strength, your ability to live life on your own terms. And trust me, once you understand how powerful this one nutrient is, you'll never look at your leg strength the same way again. Stay with me. You're about to discover the one thing that could keep you on your feet and off the ground for the rest of your life. Let's talk about the quiet power of this missing vitamin, because it's not flashy and it doesn't get much attention. It's not something you see on magazine covers or hear trending on morning shows, but inside your body, it's a powerhouse. It acts like a translator, a conductor, a connector. It's the bridge between your nervous system and your muscles. Without it, those two systems, your nerves and your muscles, can't talk to each other properly. And when that communication breaks down, so does your balance, your coordination, your reaction time. You go from steady to shaky without realizing it. And that one missed signal can be the difference between catching yourself and falling flat. The vitamin I'm talking about is B12, and if you're over 60, there's a very good chance you're not getting enough. Not because you don't eat well, not because you don't care, but because your body has changed. You see, B12 isn't like vitamin C or vitamin D. You don't absorb it passively. Your stomach needs to release a special protein called intrinsic factor to unlock it from your food. But here's the issue. After 60, your stomach produces less of that protein. And even if you're eating plenty of B12-rich foods like meat, eggs, or dairy, your body might not be absorbing them anymore. It's like trying to fill your gas tank with the nozzle turned off. The fuel's there, but it's not getting in. And when B12 levels drop, the symptoms don't scream. They whisper. You might notice tingling in your feet, a strange sense of imbalance when you walk in the dark, a creeping fatigue that settles in your legs after short walks. You might start missing steps or feel unsure on uneven ground. And doctors might chalk it up to age or arthritis or low iron. But it's B12 quietly missing, quietly stealing your strength. I spoke to a man named Gerald. He was 69, retired early, and loved gardening. But slowly he began to feel unsure on his feet. Not pain exactly, just this nagging sense that something was off. He started using a cane, not because he needed it to walk, but because he needed it to trust his own legs. He'd say, "It's like my feet forget where the floor is." He tried changing shoes, doing balance exercises, even Tai Chi. Nothing worked. Then one day, during a routine blood test, his doctor checked his B12, and it was barely registering, less than 200, dangerously low. He started B12 supplementation right away, under his doctor's guidance, and within 3 weeks, he felt it. Not like magic, not overnight, but like someone had turned the lights back on inside his muscles. His steps became more confident. The cane started collecting dust. He said, "It's like my legs woke up." And Gerald isn't rare. Studies show that nearly 20% of adults over 60 are B12 deficient, and even more are borderline low, just high enough to avoid a red flag on a lab test, but too low to support healthy nerve and muscle function. That's the gray zone. That's where symptoms live. And that's where millions of people sit, unaware. But here's the hopeful part. B12 is one of the most reversible deficiencies we have. Once you catch it, once you support your body with what it needs, the change can be powerful. Because B12 doesn't just help with balance. It fuels red blood cell production, meaning better oxygen delivery to your legs. It supports memory, focus, and energy. It helps regulate your mood, your sleep, your immune system. This isn't just a leg vitamin, it's a life vitamin. And yet, it's so often overlooked. And it's not just about food. There are medications that deplete B12, common ones like metformin for diabetes, or proton pump inhibitors for heartburn. If you've been on those for years, you could be running on empty without even knowing it. That's why it's not enough to assume you're fine. You have to know. You have to check. Because your legs won't wait for your next appointment. When they give out, it's already too late to prevent the fall. So ask yourself, have you been feeling unsteady? Have your legs been aching without explanation? Do your feet feel numb or strange at night? Have you had a drop in energy that you just can't shake? These aren't just annoyances, they're signals. They're your body's way of saying, I need help, I need fuel, I need B12. And if you're wondering what to do next, don't worry. We're going to walk through it. How to get tested, what levels to look for, what kind of B12 your body actually absorbs best. Because not all supplements are created equal, and for seniors especially, the form matters. The delivery method matters, the dosage matters, and we're going to break it all down together. But first, I want you to hear this, clearly and fully. This is not your fault. No one told you that age affects nutrient absorption. No one warned you that medications you've trusted for years could be robbing you of something so essential. You've been trying your best, and now, with the right information, you can finally match your effort with effectiveness. You can stand taller, walk steadier, wake up feeling refreshed, not drained. You can return to the hobbies you love, the people you love, the places that make you feel alive. Your legs are still capable. They just need the right support. And it starts with this one vitamin. Let's keep going. Because what comes next might be the most important health decision you make all year. So let's talk about how to know if this is happening to you right now. Because guessing isn't enough. Hoping isn't enough. And unfortunately, many seniors go for years without a clear diagnosis, simply because they were never tested for it. Not properly, not thoroughly. Most blood panels don't automatically include vitamin B12 unless you specifically request it, or unless there's a very obvious neurological symptom. But the thing about B12 deficiency is, it doesn't always wait for something dramatic to show up. It creeps in. It masquerades as other issues, and if you're not paying attention, or if your doctor doesn't think to look deeper, you'll miss it. So here's where it starts. Ask for a B12 test. Not just a general one, but one that also checks methylmalonic acid, MMA, and homocysteine levels. Why? Because B12 blood serum alone can be misleading. You could have normal B12 levels in your blood and still have a functional deficiency in your tissues. That's the trap. Your blood might be holding on to B12, but your cells might be starving for it. But when methylmalonic acid and homocysteine levels rise, that's a red flag that your body isn't using B12 properly, even if your serum levels look okay. And let's talk numbers. A lot of labs say that anything over 200 picograms per milliliter is normal. But research shows that symptoms of deficiency can start as high as 350. That's a huge gap. So, if you're walking into your doctor's office with a level of 220, and they say you're fine, but you're feeling weak, numb, foggy, or unstable, that's not fine. That's not optimal. That's survivable, not sustainable. And you deserve better than survivable. Now, once you know where you stand, the next step is understanding what form of B12 your body actually needs. Because not all B12 is created equal. The most common form found in cheaper supplements is called cyanocobalamin. It's synthetic. It has to be converted inside your body into its usable form. And for many older adults, that conversion just doesn't happen efficiently anymore. So, what you need, especially if you're over 60, is methylcobalamin. This is the active form of B12. It's bioavailable. It doesn't need converting. It's ready to use the moment it enters your bloodstream. And if you've been dealing with symptoms, numbness, weakness, fatigue, this is the form that gives your body the best shot at turning things around quickly. Now, here's something else that's important. How you take it matters. If your B12 levels are dangerously low, you may need a B12 injection first, something to quickly restore your reserves. That's between you and your doctor. But for ongoing support, daily supplementation is critical. And for many seniors, sublingual B12, meaning a tablet that dissolves under your tongue, is more effective than swallowing pills. Why? Because it bypasses the digestive system. It goes straight into the bloodstream through the mucous membranes in your mouth. That's a game changer if you have absorption issues in your gut, which again are incredibly common with age. And for those who prefer a spray or liquid form, that can work too. Again, as long as it's methylcobalamin. You want consistency, bioavailability, and ease of use. This isn't about loading your cabinet with pills. This is about finding the right delivery method that your body actually uses. Now, let's say you start supplementing. You're getting the right form, the right dosage, the right delivery. How do you know it's working? You'll feel it. Often within 2 to 3 weeks, subtle shifts begin. You'll notice your balance improving. The fog lifts. That strange zapping or tingling in your feet starts to fade. You wake up with more energy. You walk with more confidence. And it's not placebo. It's function being restored. It's nerve signals finding their way again. It's blood reaching tissues that were starved for oxygen. It's your muscles finally getting the message. Engage, support, move. And it's not just your legs that respond. B12 helps regulate your nervous system as a whole. That means improved mood, better sleep, sharper focus. You start feeling like yourself again, not the tired version you thought was just aging, but the strong, present, mobile version that you didn't realize you could still access. I remember talking with Marcia, 75, who said, "I thought I had early stage dementia. I kept forgetting names, losing track of conversations. My legs ached all the time. I was terrified." Turned out, she wasn't losing her memory. She was low in B12. Within a month of correcting it, her clarity came back. Her steps were firmer. Her anxiety eased. That's not magic. That's nutrition. That's what happens when your body gets what it needs. And it's so preventable. That's what makes this so urgent. Because the fall that leads to a hip fracture, the fall that leads to assisted living, the fall that changes everything, it doesn't have to happen. Not if we catch the cause before it causes damage. Not if we intervene early, check the right levels, use the right forms, and stop ignoring the quiet signals. And I know some people worry, can you take too much B12? Is it dangerous? The truth is, B12 is water soluble. Your body eliminates what it doesn't need. Toxicity is extremely rare. Of course, always consult your healthcare provider, especially if you're on other medications. But in terms of safety, B12 is one of the most forgiving, most impactful vitamins you can work with. So, where does that leave you? Hopefully with clarity, with urgency, with hope. Because this isn't about treating a disease, it's about preventing one. It's about protecting your legs before they give out. It's about waking up tomorrow with strength, not fear, confidence, not hesitation. And if you've been struggling with symptoms for a while, if your legs feel unreliable, if your energy is inconsistent, if your thoughts feel scattered, you owe it to yourself to find out if B12 is the missing piece. Because if it is, the change won't just be physical, it'll be emotional, it'll be life-giving. Let's keep going. Because the final part of this journey is understanding how to build a lifestyle that protects your B12 levels naturally, day in, day out, so you never find yourself back in the danger zone again. So now that we've talked about the testing, the signs, and the right type of B12 your body needs, let's talk about what you can do, starting today, to protect and sustain those levels naturally. Because this isn't just about bouncing back from a deficiency, it's about staying strong, staying mobile, and never sliding backward into the danger zone again. The good news is, you can build this into your life in ways that feel simple, gentle, and absolutely sustainable. No overhauls, no complex regimens. Just steady, smart adjustments that meet your body where it is today, not where it was 30 years ago. Let's start with food. B12 is only found naturally in animal-based foods. That's important to understand, especially if you've been leaning more toward a plant-based diet in recent years, maybe for your heart, your weight, or your digestion. And that's fine, there's value in plant-based eating. But when it comes to B12, plants don't make it, period. That means if you've reduced or eliminated animal products from your meals, you need a plan for B12 support. No exceptions. This is where many seniors go wrong, and not out of ignorance, but out of good intention. Trying to eat clean, trying to eat light, but unintentionally cutting off the supply of this vital nutrient. So, what foods still carry B12? Think about lean meats, like chicken, turkey, or beef. Fish, especially salmon, sardines, and tuna, are rich sources. Eggs, particularly the yolks, are excellent. Dairy products like milk, cheese, and yogurt can contribute too. But here's the key. Even if you're eating these foods, age can still get in the way. Because if your stomach lining isn't producing enough intrinsic factor, that special protein we mentioned earlier, you might not be extracting much B12 from those meals. That's why even meat eaters can end up deficient. So, the food helps, but it isn't always enough. And for those who are vegetarian or vegan, you absolutely need to supplement, full stop. There are no plant-based sources of B12 unless they're fortified, like some cereals or nutritional yeast. And those fortified options can help, but they're not a reliable way to rebuild low levels. They're more like a topping, not the foundation. This is why lifestyle awareness becomes your long-term safety net. Once you know what depletes B12, you can make better choices. For example, medications. If you're taking metformin for type 2 diabetes, or proton pump inhibitors like omeprazole for acid reflux, or even certain blood pressure medications, you may be unknowingly draining your B12 reserves over time. These drugs interfere with absorption, and the effects don't show up right away. It's slow erosion, months or even years before the symptoms appear. That's why regular blood testing is critical, especially if you've been on these medications for a while. It's not about stopping your meds, it's about supporting your body so the meds don't cost you your legs, your energy, your independence. Let's not forget about alcohol. Even moderate drinking can affect your ability to absorb B12. So, if wine or cocktails are part of your regular routine, it's worth considering that impact. Again, this isn't about guilt, it's about awareness, giving your body the best chance to thrive. Now, I want to give you something incredibly practical. A rhythm you can follow, a B12 supporting lifestyle built around your day. Not a to-do list, but a flow. You start your morning with hydration, a glass of warm water with lemon, simple but powerful. Then breakfast, perhaps eggs with sautéed greens or Greek yogurt with a sprinkle of ground flax and berries. Mid-morning, your sublingual B12, dissolving slowly under your tongue as you read or sip tea or just breathe. Lunch, a salad with grilled chicken or tuna, avocado, olive oil. Protein and healthy fat support nutrient absorption. And dinner? Maybe a warm bowl of lentils with a soft boiled egg on top, or a baked salmon fillet with roasted vegetables. The point isn't perfection, it's presence. Feeding your body with intention. Because every time you choose a meal that supports your nerve health, you're investing in your ability to walk with ease, to stand without fear, to live without hesitation. And that kind of strength, real sustainable strength, doesn't come from extremes. It comes from consistency. That's what B12 thrives on. That's what your body is quietly asking for. And one more thing, movement. Even if you've been dealing with fatigue or weakness in your legs, gentle movement helps deliver nutrients where they're needed most. Short walks, light stretching, standing up slowly from a chair and sitting back down a few times. These aren't exercises, they're signals. You're telling your body, I'm still here, I'm still moving. Don't shut down on me. Circulation improves, nerves fire better, muscles stay engaged, and your B12 can actually reach the cells that are calling for it. You see, this isn't just about a vitamin, it's about trust. Can you trust your legs to catch you? Can you trust your body to respond? That trust starts with understanding. And now that you know the role B12 plays, not just in your energy, but in your very ability to stand tall, you can rebuild that trust one choice at a time. You're not fragile. You're not broken. You're adjusting. You're aging with awareness, and awareness gives you power. Power to reverse what once seemed inevitable. Power to wake up tomorrow stronger than today. Power to reclaim the parts of your life that felt like they were slipping away. So, breathe that in, let it settle. And know this, you're already on the path. Just by watching, just by learning, just by showing up for yourself in this moment. And we're not done yet. Because in the final part, we're going to bring it all together. I'm going to show you what a full 7-day B12 reset could look like, how to track your progress, and how to recognize the moment when your legs, your nerves, and your strength come back online. For good. Let's finish this strong. You're almost there. So now that we've talked about the testing, the symptoms, and the right form of B12, let's shift into something even more practical. What can you do, starting today, to keep your body supported long term? Because it's one thing to fix a deficiency. It's another to build a lifestyle that prevents it from ever returning. That's the key. Not just recovering, but staying strong. Protecting your legs, your mind, your balance, every single day. And yes, you can absolutely get B12 from food, but here's where it gets tricky. The best food sources of B12 are animal-based. Meats, fish, eggs, dairy, things like liver, sardines, tuna, eggs, beef, milk. These foods are rich in B12, no question. But what happens when your appetite isn't what it used to be? Or your digestion isn't as efficient? Or you've cut back on red meat for your heart? Or dairy for your digestion? You might be eating foods that contain B12, but not enough of them, or not absorbing them fully. I met a woman once, Clarissa. She was 78, bright and sharp and thoughtful. She told me, I eat eggs every day. I don't know how I could be low in B12. And then we looked at her labs. Her level was 198, barely holding on. The problem wasn't her choices, it was absorption. Her stomach wasn't producing enough intrinsic factor anymore, which meant even the right foods weren't making it all the way through. That's what we need to remember. After 60, the rules change. The way your body receives nourishment changes. And so, the way we care for it has to change too. Now, That doesn't mean food isn't important, it's still your foundation. But it means we support that foundation with the right habits. For some people, that means taking a daily methylated B12 lozenge with breakfast, something sublingual that bypasses the gut. For others, it means getting a shot every few months under doctor's supervision, just to keep reserves strong. But what matters most is consistency, because your legs, your nerves, your muscles, they rely on a steady stream of this vitamin. Not a surge followed by a crash. Not a maybe I'll remember it next week. They need support every day. Now let's talk about a few everyday things that can interfere with B12, and you may not even realize it. One of the biggest? Acid blockers. Things like omeprazole or lansoprazole. These are the medications we take for reflux, heartburn, GERD. They work by lowering stomach acid, but you need stomach acid to extract B12 from your food. So, if you've been on a proton pump inhibitor for years, even low dose, even over the counter, you could be depleting B12 without a single symptom, until suddenly your legs don't feel like your own anymore. And it's not just acid meds. Metformin, the most common medication for type 2 diabetes, is also known to deplete B12 over time. And again, the effects are subtle. They sneak in. Until one day you wake up and your feet are tingling, your knees buckle more than usual, and no one seems to have an answer. But now you do. Now you know what to ask for. Now you know what to check. And maybe you're listening to this thinking, this is making so much sense. I've been feeling off for months. That's your body talking. That's your nervous system asking for help. And the good news is, you're not stuck. This isn't permanent. Your body is incredibly capable of restoring itself when it's given the chance. That's the beauty of B12. It's not a treatment you have to wait years to feel. In many cases, the change begins within days or weeks. And I want you to imagine that for a second. What would it feel like to wake up and trust your legs again? To get up from your chair and feel steady? To take a walk and not have that nagging fear of a misstep, a stumble, a fall? What would it feel like to move with confidence again? Not because of physical therapy or more equipment, but because your body is getting what it needs inside, where strength begins. That's the gift of understanding this. It puts power back in your hands. It takes you out of the fear and into the facts, into the choices. Because the truth is, there are people right now making incredible progress. Just by correcting their B12. People who were afraid to walk across a room who are now gardening again, dancing again, traveling, living. And they didn't get there through surgery or some expensive protocol. They got there through clarity, through a small, consistent change that restored their body's natural function. That's what I want for you. I don't want you to live with that quiet worry, that voice in the back of your head that says, what if I fall today? I want that voice gone. I want it replaced with something stronger, a feeling of groundedness, a sense of inner support, the knowledge that your legs are holding you up and will keep holding you up because you're giving them what they need. So let's finish strong. In the next part, I want to show you how to build a simple, senior-friendly B12 routine you can actually stick to. I'll give you real-life examples, morning habits, supplement timing, and how to talk to your doctor about it, so you never again have to wonder if your legs will let you down. You're this close. Stay with me. Let's bring everything together now. You've come this far because something inside you said, this matters. Maybe you felt that strange weakness when you stand up. Maybe your legs don't respond the way they used to. Or maybe you've watched someone you love struggle with their balance, and you've been quietly wondering, could it happen to me next? But now, you know the truth. You've heard the signals. You understand the root, and that alone separates you from millions of others who are still living in the dark, still blaming aging for something that could be prevented, or even reversed. And that gives you power, because you're no longer guessing. You're no longer hoping things will get better. You know what your body needs, and now it's time to act on that knowing. So here's what I want you to imagine. Just 7 days. 7 days where you give your body a chance to rebuild, where you shift the rhythm of your routine, not drastically, not painfully, but gently, intentionally. Just a few simple actions each day to restore what's been missing. You wake up, and instead of reaching for coffee first, you sip water, maybe with a little lemon. You sit by a window, breathe in the morning light. Then you take your B12, Methylcobalamin, sublingual, just let it melt under your tongue. Give your body the message, I'm supporting you now. Then you have breakfast, something real. Maybe eggs. Maybe some smoked salmon on toast. Maybe Greek yogurt with a handful of berries and seeds. You're not just feeding your hunger, you're fueling your nerves. Midday, you take a walk. Doesn't have to be long. Around the block, across the living room, just something to remind your legs. We're in this together. Let the blood move. Let the oxygen reach those nerves. Let the system reboot. Lunch is something clean. Maybe soup with lentils and chicken, or a tuna salad with olive oil. You're keeping the fire low, not inflaming, not overloading, just nourishing. And maybe in the afternoon, you stretch. Nothing fancy, just a few minutes in a chair. Roll your ankles, flex your calves. Let your body know you still own this space, you still command this movement. Dinner comes and you skip the wine this time, not because you have to, but because you want clarity. Maybe you cook something comforting, roasted veggies, a bit of fish, some brown rice, and before bed, one last B12 lozenge, a full glass of water, a journal to track how you felt today. Lighter, more stable, less foggy, and then you sleep. Not just hoping you'll feel better, but trusting that you will. Because now you're not waiting for health to happen. You're creating it. And here's what happens next. You start to notice little things. You stand up from the couch without bracing. You walk without thinking about every step. Your ankles don't swell as much. Your thighs feel more responsive. You sleep deeper. You dream again. You feel present. And it's not just physical, it's emotional. Because when your body stops fighting you, your mind starts trusting again. And that trust, that's the return of confidence. That's what this is all about. So what's next? You talk to your doctor, you ask for your B12 levels, not just serum, but methylmalonic acid and homocysteine. You don't settle for normal, you aim for optimal. You ask questions, you advocate. You bring this video if you need to. You choose the right supplement, methylcobalamin, not cyanocobalamin. You take it under the tongue. You stay consistent. You keep moving. You eat real food. You stay curious. You listen to your body. You notice the difference. Because that moment, when you realize your legs are holding you again, when the fear of falling gets quieter, when walking feels like freedom again, that's not a miracle. That's what happens when knowledge meets action. That's what happens when you give your body what it's been missing all along. And you didn't get here by chance. You showed up. You paid attention. You stayed with me. And that means you're not just hoping for better health. You're claiming it. And if this helped you, if it woke something up in you, I invite you to share it. Because there are millions of others, friends, neighbors, loved ones, who are feeling the same symptoms but don't know why. Your share could be their turning point. You could be the reason someone avoids a fall. You could be the voice that says, there's more we can do. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Health 360 Pro is here for you. Not with hype, not with gimmicks, but with truth, with clarity, with tools that honor the stage of life you're in and the strength you still carry. Because aging isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And your body isn't broken, it just needs support. So thank you for being here, for caring, for choosing action over fear. We'll see you in the next video. And until then, take a deep breath, stand tall, and know this, your legs don't have to fail. They can carry you. They can still take you anywhere you want to go, as long as you give them the chance, as long as you remember what they need, and now you do. You've got this. Stay strong, stay grounded, and never stop moving forward.